Yo guys, big shout out to Fine XX Scoop X. I hope I'm saying your name right, man. He actually goes by Daniel. He reached out to me the other day, sent me an entire write-up of a hunter build. And considering we've been messing around on the hunter class a bunch inside of PvE, I thought, hey man, what the hell? Let's try it out. I was pleasantly surprised with this build. Essentially taking the powers of Shinobu's Vow, merging it with some of our Warmod mods, as well as some of the artifact mods that are present this season. So ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Artillery Medic, which makes no sense, but that's all right. Now, before we get into today's video, a word from our newest sponsor, Gamer Bread.
To be at the top of your game, you need fuel. Introducing Gamer Bread, the world's first high-performance bread made for gamers. It's got an ambidextrous grip, strengthened fingers, and improved dexterity. And when you're done, fuel up with maximum caloric density for maximum focus. Dual functionality flash cools your rig. Get it now at gamerbreadnow.com.
Here's the thing, guys. This is not really Gamer Bread, and that product doesn't even exist. But you know what does? Raid Shadow Legends. Yes, that's right, guys. Raid Shadow Legends is back at it again. This is a turn-based strategy RPG game that is now able to be played on pretty much every device. Mobile, desktop, I pretty much play it on all of mine. They've got seasonal rewards as well as daily reward programs for new players that has just been doubled from 90 to 180 days. Each day, you can claim your free rewards from energy refills, silver, gems, shards, and the Barbarian Legendary Champion, Soul of the Drake. Raid has been one of those games that I've just often found myself dabbling in for way too many hours. Everything from a lengthy campaign for solo players to dungeons with 10 different bosses with a variety of ways to take down, as well as a full-blown arena mode for PvP. And if that doesn't scratch your itch, for my people that like to start up clans, you can even tackle clan bosses together, which are some of the most challenging things to take on in Raid. Now again, guys, understand that this game appeases to those that love that fantasy element. And it's got that. From the champions, to their abilities, to the power that they all have, especially once you start leveling them up. There seems to be an endless power fantasy that has no limits. And again, for my new players that are worried that they may not be able to get into this game quick enough, not only do you get the 200,000 silver as a new player, but you also get a free legendary champion. That's right. Something that took me months to obtain on my own. Grinner, who is level 60, and my God, this guy's nasty. And look at that smile. So fellas, get your hands on Raid Shadow Legends today. Great specials that they're running across the board. And big shout out to Raid for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to the build. So first up, the exotic of choice. We're actually rocking Shinobu's Vow, as this exotic comes with the perk New Tricks. Improved skip grenades. You also gain an additional skip grenade charge. Skip grenades returns energy when it damages enemies. Now before I was sent this build, I always thought of this exotic as being a PvP exotic because it's got tracking grenades. But when we start combining it with the artifact mod Tyrant Surge, that's when you start to see some crazy shenanigans. First up, dealing damage with an arc melee super or a grenade ability spawns a Warmod cell. Now, a couple of things are happening here. First up, when we throw the grenade, you'll notice that one of these Warmod cells immediately pops up. Simultaneously, unless your aim is just terrible, your grenade will make full contact, thus giving yourself grenade energy back throughout that entire process of doing damage. Now, upon throwing our grenade, we actually have the Lightning Strikes Twice class item mod also equipped, which states after throwing an arc grenade, you gain increased grenade recharge for a short time. Also, arc final blows extends the duration of this benefit. The first time I want to bring up that final statement, arc final blows. And that's arc final blows with either your arc abilities, your super, or your weapons. Needless to say, both Shinobu's Vow and Lightning Strikes Twice are working together simultaneously to give us our grenade energy back as quickly as possible. But just to make matters better, because we just want to make sure we're not waiting on a grenade charge, we've combined it here with two different demolitionist weapons. Now, I actually have an all-stringer here with demolitionist, but pretty much any primary weapon you may have with demolitionist will be perfect. But I did go a step further and combined it with this Shining Sphere rocket launcher, which also comes with demolitionist. Now, I know rocket launchers are not necessarily in the best state right now, but for this situation, this rocket launcher happens to work. Essentially, I throw a single skip grenade, it makes contact with whatever enemy, and the moment it makes contact, I go ahead and shoot my rocket off. off. Normally by this moment, a Warmind cell is popping out of my enemy. When the rocket makes contact, it not only explodes and does damage, but it also explodes that Warmind cell, which does a ton of damage, thus resulting in some major artillery action happening with this setup. Now, I will say this, the only reason why I'm really using this rocket launcher is because it's the only rocket launcher I have with Demolitionist, and it does arc damage. Again, arc final blows will allow us to continue that lightning strike twice perk and extend that duration of increased grenade recharge rates, thus really tying this build synergy together. But I will say you can use other things here. You can use an LMG, a grenade launcher. Again, choose a weapon that you got Demolitionist. And it wasn't even until today that I landed this machine gun right here with Demolitionist. So I might actually break this machine gun out and use it instead. The rocket launcher was just nice because I didn't really have to focus on shooting the Warmind cell at all, right? Because it's got such a big blast radius, whether you're hitting the target or hitting the ground or whatever. Normally, it always resulted in that Warmind cell exploding, and you really want that to happen, as that does a ton of damage. Now, that's the artillery side of things. Now, let's talk about the medic side of things. First up, we are taking advantage of global reach. This actually allows our Warmind cells to create an effect and damage targets at greater distance, which now takes us to our other mod, Fireteam Medic. Destroying a Warmind cell creates a burst of healing for you and allies near you. This is such a good mod. But I disregard everything else on this build. I just want to point to this mod right here. This mod right here will clutch up so many times. I mean, you're seeing it right here in action, how much it's keeping me alive. This works not just for yourself, but also for your allies, and it allows you to play super aggressive because of that instant heal that you get. Like, don't get me wrong, I love everything in this build because I feel like it really synergizes well, it ties together, but if there's one thing you could take away from all of this, is that Fireteam Medic right there is one of the best mods you can be using this season. And I do want to reiterate here that these mods are still going to be useful in the future. It's not like these things go away. Future armor pieces will allow us to slot even these mods. And if it's like using Charges of Light, even in future seasons, we'll probably have some elaborate way to combine all of these mods together. Now, the final piece that I included, because we are using rocket launchers a ton, which is requiring a lot of heavy ammo usage, but we're also throwing a ton of grenades, which brings us to our Hive armament mod. Defeating Hive enemies with a grenade grants heavy ammo. A fantastic mod. For scenarios such as these, it pretty much gives us an unlimited supply of heavy. Now, granted, this benefits you with any heavy weapon that you use. For this scenario, though, it was extremely nice. Essentially, I would throw a skip grenade, a Warmind cell would pop out, I would shoot a rocket off, and even if the Warmind cell or the rocket got the kill, it was almost as if the game registered the kill as a grenade kill, thus granting me heavy ammo. I had an endless supply, though, of heavy. Now, with all of that being said, is this a build to be using in in-game content? I think you could definitely use it. I think it actually works better with a fire team. The build we made the other day with our Hunter class really showcased the power of that build, especially from a solo player's perspective. This build is probably the best when you combine it with a fire team. And you've got a lot of things here that are really taking advantage of our arc subclasses this season. I'm actually rocking Bottom Tree Arc Strider, both for that increase in recharge rate for our dodge abilities, as well as our combat meditation, which increases that grenade recharge and melee recharge when critically wounded. Probably the best subclass to pair here with this build, simply because I'm constantly expending grenades. Now, if you really want to invest more on the artillery side, you can actually swap out our Fireteam Medic for Rage of Warmind, which actually adds an additional solar damage to the explosion of your Warmind cell. Matter of fact, I even thought about using that mod in combination with Fireteam Medic instead of Global Reach. No, you won't have as big of a radius of effect from your Warmind cell, but everything within that radius will take a lot more damage. Granted, you're gonna have to weigh the pros and cons to both of those. Either way it goes, you can invest more in damage or more in Fireteam Medic for healing. I will say, as lethal as a lot of things are, when it comes to in-game content, survivability is probably the most important to a certain extent, right? Obviously, if you can't do any damage, then you're not gonna get through the content. But at the same time, if you can't keep you and your fire team alive, good luck. This is one of those things that I feel like is gonna be a necessity for Grandmaster Nightfalls. Having someone there constantly expending these Warmind cells into the air, destroying them in one way or another, while simultaneously healing fire team members. And considering that you are rocking an arc subclass with arc grenades, you can still slot mods like Surge Detonators, which actually will stun overload champions, or you can even go the route of Hammer of the Warmind, which allows detonations from your Warmind cells to cause disruption for both overload and unstoppable champions. But I will say, guys, guys, at some point, at least what I ran into, I was trying to wear too many hats. I was trying to do too many things, and I had a finite amount of mod slots to work with, which is why the most important thing out of this build, the most important thing you can pull from this build is, of course, Fireteam Medic. That's the main thing. If you rock an arc-based weapon and combine it with exotics like Shinobu's Vow, Lightning Strikes Twice, as well as Tyrant Surge, combine these things together with Fireteam Medic, you'll be the best healer your fire team has ever had. It's not like you have to do a lot of damage to spawn one of these Warmind cells. You simply just have to throw a grenade and deal just the slightest amount of damage there with a skip nade. And normally 2 shots from a primary weapon, at least from a primary hand cannon, will result in these Warmind cells exploding. So you don't always have to shoot heavy every single time. This is just more of us just giving it fluff and showcasing like the lethality of the artillery strike that's happening in front of you, which is a beautiful thing to look at. But the main thing is infinite nades, infinite explosions, infinite healing. Those are the important factors of today's build. So guys, try it out for yourselves. Give it a go. I really think it's going to become a necessity, or at least having someone concentrating on healing is going to be a necessity at some point. We've tried this in the past a little more with things like Lumina, but I'm telling you guys, Lumina has nothing on the healing powers that these Warmind cells have with Fireteam Medic. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.